Marcus Reed adjusted the strap of his travel bag as he stepped into the airport's exclusive VIP lounge, his 8-year-old daughter Lily walking beside him with bright eyes and an excited smile. For Lily, everything about the lounge felt magical. The polished marble floors reflected the soft ceiling lights, the comfortable leather chairs looked far more inviting than the crowded terminal seats outside, and large windows overlooked airplanes gliding across the runway. She had never experienced anything like it before. Marcus had promised that after months of balancing school, work, and endless business trips, this would be a small celebration for her excellent grades. She squeezed his hand, unable to hide her excitement. Marcus smiled at her happiness. Moments like these reminded him why every sacrifice had been worth it. Since his wife had passed away 6 years earlier, he had raised Lily alone. Every school event, every bedtime story, every scraped knee, every birthday cake had depended on him. There had been difficult nights when he wondered whether he was doing enough, but Lily's cheerful personality reassured him that love mattered more than perfection. Although Marcus appeared to be an ordinary traveler dressed in dark jeans, a light blue shirt, and a simple jacket, very few people knew what he actually did. He owned one of the country's most respected independent food safety consulting firms. Restaurants, hotels, airlines, hospitals, and luxury resorts hired his company whenever they needed inspections, quality audits, or emergency investigations. His reports had helped improve food safety standards across hundreds of businesses, yet he deliberately stayed out of the public eye. His reputation rested on honesty rather than publicity. The receptionist greeted them with a warm smile as Marcus scanned his premium membership. "Welcome, Mr. Reed. Please enjoy your stay." "Thank you," Marcus replied politely. Lily immediately admired the buffet filled with pastries, fruit, salads, sandwiches, and desserts. "Dad, can I have lunch here?" "Of course," Marcus answered. "Pick whatever you'd like." She carefully chose a grilled chicken sandwich, sliced fruit, and a glass of fresh orange juice. Marcus ordered roasted vegetables with soup and black coffee. They found a quiet table overlooking the runway where Lily happily talked about school, her favorite books, and the science fair she hoped to enter next semester. For the first time in weeks, Marcus relaxed. Business calls could wait. Emails could wait. Today belonged to Lily. A waiter delivered their meals within 15 minutes. Everything looked attractive at first glance. The sandwich was neatly wrapped, the fruit was arranged perfectly, and the presentation matched the luxury reputation of the lounge. Lily picked up half of the sandwich. Marcus instinctively noticed something strange. A faint sour odor drifted from the chicken. It was subtle, but unmistakable. Years of professional experience had trained his senses to recognize warning signs that most people overlooked. He leaned forward slightly. The bread felt unusually damp. The lettuce had begun turning translucent around the edges. Beneath the melted cheese, the chicken carried a grayish tint instead of the fresh white color it should have had. His expression immediately changed. "Lily." She looked up. "Yes, Dad? Don't eat another bite." She stopped chewing instantly. "Why?" "I just need to check something." Marcus gently took the sandwich from her hands. He carefully smelled it again. There was no doubt. Something was wrong. Without alarming Lily, he reached into his carry-on bag and removed a compact digital thermometer. He often carried one because unexpected inspections could happen anywhere. After checking the center of the chicken, the reading appeared well below the recommended safe serving temperature for hot food. His concern deepened. This wasn't simply poor quality. It suggested improper food handling. Marcus calmly raised his hand for the waiter. The young employee approached with an impatient expression. "Is something wrong, sir?" Marcus remained completely polite. "I'm afraid this chicken appears spoiled." The waiter barely glanced at the plate. "Our kitchen prepared it today. I understand, Marcus replied calmly. But the smell, color, and temperature indicate otherwise. The waiter sighed. Sir, we've served hundreds of meals today. Marcus nodded. I'm sure you have. I'm only asking you to replace this one. Instead of apologizing, the waiter folded his arms. Our food is perfectly fine. Marcus kept his voice steady. I inspect commercial kitchens professionally. The waiter gave a short laugh. Everyone says they're an expert. Marcus didn't react. He simply looked at the employee. I own a food safety consulting company. The waiter shrugged dismissively. That's nice. Then he picked up the plate without another word and walked away. Lily watched quietly. Did we do something wrong? Marcus smiled reassuringly. No, sweetheart. Will I still get lunch? Absolutely. Nearby travelers had begun noticing the exchange. Some whispered to one another. One businessman glanced toward Marcus before returning to his laptop. A woman across the room frowned at the waiter but said nothing. Most people simply assumed it was another customer complaining. Marcus wasn't interested in embarrassing anyone. Mistakes happened. Food could accidentally spoil. Professional kitchens occasionally faced equipment failures. What mattered was how management responded. He opened his phone and quietly documented everything. He photographed the sandwich from multiple angles. He recorded the thermometer reading. He noted the exact serving time. He documented the table number. His habits were automatic after years of investigations. Lily leaned closer. Are you working now? Marcus smiled softly. A little. I thought today was our vacation. It still is. She nodded, trusting him completely. A few minutes later another employee arrived carrying a replacement meal. Marcus thanked her. This sandwich looked fresher. The smell was normal. The temperature was correct. He carefully examined it before placing it in front of Lily. You can enjoy this one. She smiled again and happily began eating. Marcus watched her with relief. For most parents, the incident would have ended there. For Marcus, however, something refused to settle in his mind. Spoiled food rarely appeared alone. When one serious mistake reached a customer's table inside a luxury VIP lounge, it often pointed to a much larger problem hidden behind the kitchen doors. And Marcus had learned long ago that ignoring small warning signs often allowed much bigger disasters to grow unnoticed. Marcus remained seated while Lily finished her fresh sandwich, but his attention stayed fixed on the quiet activity around the lounge. Years of inspecting commercial kitchens had taught him that food safety problems rarely existed in isolation. A spoiled meal reaching a guest usually pointed to deeper issues: poor storage, rushed employees, broken procedures, or management that cared more about appearances than standards. He hoped this had been a simple mistake, yet the dismissive attitude of the waiter continued to bother him far more than the spoiled chicken itself. Lily happily finished her lunch and wiped her hands with a napkin. That one tasted much better, she said. I'm glad, Marcus replied with a smile. Can we get dessert now? We can in a few minutes. As Lily admired the dessert counter from a distance, Marcus quietly walked toward the reception desk. Excuse me, he said politely. May I speak with the lounge manager? The receptionist smiled. Certainly, sir. A few minutes later, a man in an expensive navy suit approached confidently. Good afternoon. I'm Daniel, the lounge manager. I understand there was an issue with your meal. Marcus extended his hand. I'm Marcus Reed. Daniel shook it quickly. I apologize for the inconvenience. We replaced your sandwich. I appreciate that, Marcus answered calmly. But I'd like to discuss how the situation was handled. Daniel folded his hands. Our staff informed me everything has already been resolved. Marcus kept his voice respectful. I don't believe it has. Daniel raised an eyebrow. The food served to my daughter showed several signs of improper storage. More importantly, your employee dismissed the concern without even inspecting it. Daniel forced a polite smile. Our kitchen follows strict procedures. I'm pleased to hear that. We receive excellent customer ratings. I'm sure you do. Daniel's smile slowly faded. So what exactly are you asking for? Marcus answered without emotion. I'd like your kitchen supervisor to examine the batch that produced that sandwich. Daniel gave a short laugh. Sir, with respect, we can't shut down an entire kitchen because one guest didn't enjoy lunch. Marcus looked directly at him. This isn't about enjoyment. Our chef has 20 years of experience. I'm not questioning his experience. Our suppliers meet premium standards. I'm not questioning them either. Daniel sighed impatiently. Then what are you questioning? Marcus paused. Your process. Several nearby travelers glanced toward the conversation. Daniel lowered his voice. I think you're overreacting. Marcus reached into his bag and placed several printed business cards on the counter. Daniel glanced down casually. His expression immediately changed. The card read. Marcus Reed. Founder and Chief Food Safety Consultant. Reed Food Compliance Group. Below the title were certifications recognized throughout the hospitality industry. Daniel looked up again. You work in food safety? Marcus nodded. For 18 years. Daniel became noticeably quieter. You could have mentioned that earlier. I did. The manager remembered the waiter's report and realized something important had been left out. Marcus continued calmly. I'm not here to threaten anyone. Daniel remained silent. I travel constantly. I've seen excellent kitchens and terrible ones. Every business makes mistakes. Responsible businesses investigate them. Daniel glanced toward the kitchen entrance. I'm sure everything is fine. Marcus slowly slid his phone across the counter. Several high-resolution photographs filled the screen. The first showed the gray chicken. The second showed moisture collecting beneath the bread. The third displayed the thermometer reading. Daniel's confidence began disappearing. Is that today's meal? Yes. You measured it? I always carry inspection equipment. Daniel swallowed. The manager knew airport lounges operated under strict health regulations. Ignoring evidence could become a serious problem. He looked toward the kitchen again before speaking quietly. Please wait here. Marcus nodded. Daniel disappeared through the swinging kitchen doors. Nearly 15 minutes passed. Employees inside suddenly moved much faster than before. Boxes were being opened. Managers were speaking urgently. Kitchen staff checked refrigerators one after another. One employee began throwing away trays of prepared chicken. Another inspected temperature logs. Lily returned carrying a small chocolate cookie. Dad? Yes? Why is everyone running? Marcus smiled gently. They're checking to make sure everyone's food is safe. She looked toward the kitchen. Because of us? Because it's important. A few minutes later Daniel returned, looking completely different from the confident manager Marcus had first met. His tie was slightly loose. Small drops of sweat covered his forehead. Mr. Reed. Marcus waited quietly. Our executive chef found a refrigeration unit that wasn't maintaining the required temperature. Marcus listened carefully. It appears several prepared items should never have been served. Were they removed? Immediately. Were all guests notified? We've already stopped service from that station. Marcus nodded. Good. Daniel looked genuinely embarrassed. I owe you an apology. Marcus remained calm. You owe every guest safe food. You're right. Daniel hesitated. I also need to apologize for how our employee treated you. Marcus glanced toward Lily, who was happily reading a children's book while finishing her cookie. My daughter only remembers whether adults are kind. Daniel lowered his eyes. I understand. Just then another senior executive hurried into the lounge wearing an airport operations badge. He approached Daniel first. I've already spoken with the kitchen. Then he turned toward Marcus. Mr. Reed, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Marcus stood. I wasn't trying to create trouble. You may have prevented dozens of people from becoming ill. The executive extended his hand. We're temporarily closing the food service section until a complete inspection is finished. Daniel nodded in agreement. Guests around the lounge watched as employees quietly removed every prepared meal from the buffet. Signs appeared announcing a temporary suspension of food service. Some travelers looked confused. Others appreciated the honesty. Marcus simply picked up his bag, took Lily's hand, and prepared to leave. He had never intended to shut down one of the airport's most prestigious VIP lounges. He had only wanted to protect his daughter. In doing so, he had uncovered a problem that no one else had been willing to see until it was impossible to ignore.